Judging by that ugly gob, you must be Henry.
Hello everyone. In this video series I want to cover a couple of things. I want to show you some quest options and dialogue that you might not be aware of. But I also wanted to show you a way to play the game that I think is much more enjoyable. The first step is to put off the main quest, so anybody taking this approach should make sure they understand combat first.
My name's Peshek, and I'm the miller here.
When you first wake up at the mill, Peshek introduces himself and asks you to do him a favour. You can say right away that you want to pay him back in money instead, but don't do that, that's a dick move.
Look, couldn't I just pay you instead?
I'd say you're a fucking ungrateful pup. But if you think you got money to throw around, so be it. You'll pay me the costs, and for a whole fortnight of my valuable time.
But when you hear him out, he tells you to rob a corpse. That's a problem, as Henry himself makes clear.
Do corpses bother you?
No honourable man should touch them. That's the executioner's job. Jesus Christ. You want me to dig up a corpse, take a ring from it and give it to your friend in Kohelnitz? Is nothing sacred to you?
So the right thing to do at that point is to refuse.
That was a pretty speech, but you're still talking about a filthy deed. I won't do it. I value my honour higher than coin.
I gave you a chance to work off your debt. Don't think you can wriggle out of it. I want my groschen back, and quick. Otherwise, I'll make your life hell. Believe me.
This is where you get a somewhat hidden option in the quest. If you don't do Peshek's favour and don't pay back the 50 groschen, eventually he kicks you out of the house.
What's the matter with you? What's it to be?
And eventually you get their collectors coming after you.
Judging by that ugly gob, you must be Henry.
What do you want with me?
Miller Peshek described you in detail, and he was also pretty clear about what we should do to you to jog your memory.
Huh? I don't understand.
They nursed you back to health at the mill, and somebody had to pay for it. Or have you hit your head again, and can't even remember that? Well, don't worry. We know it's you.
Sirs, you aren't the first to mix me up with this Henry fellow. I'm sure you don't want to end up at the bailiffs for harming an innocent man.
Of course. Forgive me. You're another Henry. When you see the real one, tell him to get some groschen ready. Or we'll rearrange his face for him.
You can make excuses for a little while.
I don't have the money on me. Can Peshek wait a few more days? I'll pay everything back.
He can wait for a little while. But you'd better watch it, because next time you'll take a beating.
But eventually they'll resort to force.
More time? Are you joking? How about I smash your mouth in as a little reminder you should pay on time?
In previous versions the guards wouldn't help you, so the threat isn't as big as it used to be. The way I like to roleplay it is to imagine that Peshek doesn't want the money anymore. He wants your labour and you become his indentured servant. A house rule that I like to use is that Henry needs to be trained in order to acquire skills, just like you need to learn to read. And that makes options like picking herbs and brewing potions unavailable. So at this point Henry is pennyless and has no source of income. That effectively means that Henry has no option but to accept Peshek's offer. A bit of trivia is that certain dialogue options are more likely to succeed than others. You see that when you get to the gate guard of Rattay. He rejects everything else you have to say, but he accepts a speech check for some reason, even though it should be the one least likely to succeed. You see that throughout the game, and it's a good little reward for paying attention. Once you make it inside, you see Kunesh. His initial reaction depends on how you did during the prologue. He'll have different dialogue options depending on how you dealt with him during the prologue.
Do you really want to make me angry? Do you really think that's wise?
No, I don't.
He'll tell you about some supposedly secret treasure in Skalitz, but if you've been paying attention, you'll be able to work out who it belongs to.
Oh, you can't just expect me to walk into the middle of a battle.
What battle? Sigismund's gone.
Maybe so, but the land's still full of ruffians, and I'm no soldier. Besides, there's no need to go right now. Everything's well hidden, and it won't be sprouting legs and running off.
And how are we supposed to live in the meantime? On dirt and air?
It's not that bad.
Not that bad? I woke up with a rat in my blanket. A rat.
Trouble at home?
You overheard us, did you? She's a good woman. Normally we don't quarrel, but things have been hard on us these days.
And is there some way I could help you? I'm credibility itself.
I'm sorry, Henry, but my wife would kill me if I told everyone who passed by. Good luck to you.
Sorry to interrupt, but it sounded like you might need some help with something.
What? No, nothing. What did you hear?
That you might have hidden.
You heard wrong. There's nothing hidden anywhere. And you leave my man alone. Understand?
As you wish.
Another hidden activity that you can only pick up by talking to people is the fight with Milan. You can get the option by speaking to Alex.
I noticed some of the Skalitz men look like they've been in the wars. Has something happened here?
There's a local brawler who takes on all comers for bets. If you beat him, you get some silver. If you lose, you have to do his job for him.
Oh, I'll have to look into that.
Or by speaking to Milan directly, but it makes much more sense to get from Alex. When you speak to Apothecary, it turns out that you owe him another 50 groschen as well. That makes it 100 groschen in total that you owe, and fist fighting with Milan can only give you a few groschen per day. There aren't any jobs in town and you need money to get training. The Apothecary will buy herbs, but you need training from the herbalist. He'll train you in alchemy if you pay, but you need to learn to read first.
I want to learn to read. Who should I go and see?
There's a retired scribe in Ushitz. He could teach you.
Same with the huntsman, you need money, and you also need to buy a bow. It's just like real life, you need money to make money. That leaves Kunish's crazy story about hidden treasure as the only option. So as crazy as it might seem to go back to Skalitz yet again, it's the only option that Henry has. Eventually you do find the treasure, and when you come back you have the option to give it to either Baron or his wife.
It's here. That Kunesh wasn't lying. But I know this goblet. It belongs to Baron. And he's still alive. I saw him in Rattay among the refugees, wearing red as always. Now what? I think I have something that belongs to you. I found it in Skalitz.
What do you mean?
That's it.
By all the saints, thank you. You don't even know how much you've helped us. And if you know my wife, then you'll know you've just saved my life.
I probably shouldn't even tell you this, but Kunesh was after your treasure too. He wanted us to keep it ourselves.
What? That... I'll give him... I mean to say, I'll tell everyone about him. I don't know what to say. Here, take this at least. I'm poor, but you saved us.
This wouldn't happen to be yours, would it?
My God, where did you find it?
In Skalitz.
Are you saying that old man of mine is actually good for something? And do you have it all? Let me see.
I found your silver goblet.
Just the goblet? There were groschen in there.
A groschen as well. Here you go. Your wife will be happy today.
What? How so?
I found a few things in Skalitz that were hidden near your house. I gave them to your wife.
What? Now I won't see a groschen of it. Not only that, but she'll have my balls too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Of course not, lad. You couldn't have known. And you deserve a reward. Here, take this at least. I'm poor, but you saved us.
On the way to Skalitz, you pass through Rovna and see a farmer.
I see there's not much going on around here. So you've stayed here on your own?
Quite so, all by myself. All the others were either killed by the Cumans or fled to Rattay. I don't know about Skalitz, but the folk here are sure to want to come back. The only thing they're missing is spiritual support.
Do you mean the priest?
Indeed.
Don't worry, I'll bring someone.
I recommend doing this before the monastery because the dialogue makes more sense that way. You eventually come across a couple of thugs in the forest. They have a conversation you can overhear, but it's very difficult to hear both sides without getting too close.
Oh,
I still think we ought not to.
Just shut up, will you? You grumble all week long that you've got nothing to eat, and now you're complaining.
You see?
See what?
It isn't right.
Have you eaten your fill? I have, so shut up. When we beat up that farmer near Colin, you didn't care.
Of course I didn't. That was some clay digger, not a holy hermit.
Hermit? He said himself he was a sinner doing his penance.
Are you blind? Anyone can see he's a hermit, a man of God. No hermit calls himself a hermit. They're all repentant. If they said they were hermits, they'd be guilty of, pride. And that's a sin.
And if you don't shut up, I'll turn into a sinner too. I'll be committing a sin of violence on your fucking face. Besides, I don't recall you protesting while you were hungry.
Of course not. I hadn't had a bite to eat all week. And that's quite enough for a man to stop thinking clearly and get into mischief.
Mischief? Like waylaying hermits in the woods?
Maybe. What do I know? We might have done without trussing him up. That's going to weigh heavy against us with St. Peter.
And where did you come up with that one? Do you think St. Peter's got time to stand at the gates of heaven, listening to every fucker who goes up there confessing his sins?
The priest said as much down in our village.
Then St. Peter will hear how the priest upended the housemaid on Midsummer Night, won't he?
That's a lie. All Vevarova made that up to tarnish his name. Everyone knows it.
It makes no difference either way. The priest and Vevarova are dead, and all of the villagers too. There's just us two left, one shepherd and one clumsy tanner. We have to make our own way in the world, which, sadly, includes jumping the odd hermit.
Well, I'll untie him at least, and maybe God will have mercy on us.
Have you gone mad? He'll run away.
And where will he run to? Skalitz is burnt to a cinder, and so is our village.
You're completely witless. Don't you know there's Talmberg just over that hill? And that, my friend, is a castle. And as far as I know, the lord of it is pretty unforgiving. One of my mates got hanged for nicking a stupid goose. Have you got that into your thick skull?
All right, but I still think it's wrongdoing.
Think away. Just do it silently to yourself. If not, I swear to God, hermit or not, I'll add a right load of colour to your face with my fists.
Fine.
I think you should talk less and move your legs more.
And why is that? You think you've got what it takes to beat us?
I might. But it doesn't matter, because I saw you yesterday and then stopped by Talmberg to report. So, unless you'd rather wait for Sir Divish's Captain Robard, you should go now.
Shit. All right, we'll go. How far are they?
Far enough still. If you run, I'm sure you'll get away.
Right. Thanks for the warning.
Eventually you find yourself doing Peshek's bidding. It might seem counterintuitive, but it's easiest to do the missions during the day. At night there's usually people sleeping on these beds, and there's a good chance that they'll wake up when you try to pick the lock. Same with all these beds, there's usually people sleeping on them at night. If you try to pick the lock on the front door during the night, they usually wake up. And you can just walk in here. There's usually no guards on the inside. I think lunchtime tends to be the better time to do it. But if there's a guard inside, just come back another day. Once you've done all of Peshek's quests, you'll have enough money that you can afford to train yourself. That's when I choose to go to the herbalist Ledechka for training. But as it turns out, she has a task that she wants you to do. For role-playing purposes, I pretend that she gives you training in exchange. While you're at Ledechka, you can also get the quest from the swordsmith.
Blood will be spilt.
So now Henry's able to sell herbs to sustain himself. But that's not the best way to make money, and for that he'll need to learn to read.
I'd like to learn to read.
You? You don't look like the makings of a priest or clerk. But why not? I've taught all sorts.
When you first walk into Rattay, one of the refugees asks you to steal some money. It's a good example of a morally grey quest. On the one hand, you're stealing from the people of Rattay, but on the other, you're ostensibly helping the people of Skalitz, even though the pickpocket is probably keeping everything for himself.
I'm not a thief. Find someone else.
A pox on you, your kin and all your descendants. Call yourself a Christian, turning your back on a neighbour in need.
But you look like you've taken a bit of grinding in the mills of God yourself.
True enough. I tried my luck and got caught.
Things don't turn out well for the thief. From a role-playing perspective, it's a good point for Henry to turn away from thieving.
I better be on my way before someone sees me with you.
Good luck to you, lad. And don't get caught and end up like me.